All right, let's break down these text messages. So a lot of people have been tagging me in some posts of apparent text messages that Diana Cardosa from CMTV in Portugal has been releasing. As well, Julia has screenshot a bunch of her text messages and given them to Fia. So Fia has also been sharing some text message screenshots on her Instagram. So I believe this might be the first message in chronological order that's been released so far. So this was on Fia's Instagram, and this is from Diana Cardosa, and she was actually the first journalist that interviewed Julia when she came out suspecting she was Madeleine McCann. So Fia shared this and said, Julia told her to back off in Poland. So I believe this was when Julia was still in Poland, and she sent this to the reporter. So the reporter writes, I understand, but it was really important to show that you are not alone. There are many people who distrust you, including your family. Julia writes, I know, but Persian Medium is with me. She helped me a lot, and McCanns aren't even with me. It's enough for me personally. The second screenshot, it starts off with Diana responding to Julia's comment saying that the Persian Medium, aka Fia, is with her. And she says, but does not bring you credibility. And Julia responds, yes, I know. I think that we have to wait for DNA results. As I know, it will take a few weeks or months. That's all I know. Now, this is where it gets a bit harder to follow. So again, they're just screenshots. I don't believe Fia shared them in the order they came in. So I'm kind of having to figure out the order, but I believe this might be the first one. So this is sent, and Fia writes on this one. On Monday, she texted Julia and asked if there was any news because she had already spoken with the McCann family, is what she was claiming. So Diana writes on Monday, hi, Julia, is there any news? I've already spoken to the McCanns. And Julia replies, really? Hey. And then Diana replies, yes, do you have any news? And Julia replies, no, but I feel bad. I want to come back home to my boyfriend. Then I believe this would be the next one. And Fia writes, see how she tried to fool Julia. So Diana writes, I'm not there. You've already asked Fia for help. The police. Nobody does anything. The only solution I see is for you to expose the situation on television. Calm down. Everything will be fine. And Julia writes, you are a journalist. Can you help me? And Diana responds, of course. We can do an interview via Zoom and you can expose the whole situation. And then she says, we have to arrange a time when you are alone. And it continues in this screenshot where Julia says, okay. And Diana responds, what time can you get it? Now, this is where I believe Julia must have called the police, because she called the police on Monday. And then on Tuesday, it looks like she was writing, Julia, you okay? So I believe that the first portion was still on Monday, and whatever their conversation had been, Julia decided to call the police to come to Fia's home. And Diana must not have heard back from her. And then she received another text message from Diana after. I believe these messages may have been sent after the police had arrived at Fia's home, and it's from Julia being sent to Diana. So she writes, F off, never text me again. I screenshot your text and sent to Fia. You make me to call the police on Fia. You are a trafficker. You asked about my mother address. Fia will find you. And she responds, Julia, good morning. I won't let you talk to me like that. I'm a journalist. I came to Poland and did my job. We were talking normal, and that's how things happen. So those are all the messages that Fia has shared on her Instagram. And then earlier, Diana had released the text messages from her end on this TV show that she works for. And apparently the TV show is kind of like a tabloid that we would have here in North America. It's not a trusted television program, but that's where she works for. And she is an actual journalist on this television show, apparently. So I just need to preface this with, I've been tagged in posts of these text messages numerous times, so I thought I would share them. I'm not as comfortable sharing this because I don't know who translated them. So they're on the TV show in Diana's language, screenshots of her text message, which they blow up on the show, but then someone took them and translated. I don't know who translated. I tried to find the original so I could figure it out. I can't, but I will share these and you can just make your own judgment. So this is what the translations say. So it starts out with saying a Portuguese journalist talked to her. So that's Diana. And the text message says, "Is everything okay? Is there anything new?" And Julia says, "No, but I feel bad. I want to go home to my boyfriend." So those first two lines were in the screenshots that Fia already shared. It continues. And on this one, Diana says, "And why don't you come back?" Julia responds, "Because I don't have permission and I have no money. I thought she," meaning Fia, "was going to buy me a plane ticket because in Poland she told me she would. And I asked her, but I can't go home." And it continues, and again, someone has translated these from these screenshots. So then the reporter says, "But why? Is it the police that won't let you go, or is it Fia?" And Julia responds, "Fia. She says that if I go home, Peter Ney will cause me problems, that I have to stay here because everyone will say I'm a liar, but I'm not, and Fia won't let me go out. I have always been at home. She won't let me out." Diana says, "But is an investigation ongoing, or do you think she's taking advantage of you?" And Julia responds, "I think the second hypothesis. I started thinking that way from the moment I called her a liar and she started being mean to me. She yelled at me, told me that if I want to go home, I have to give her the money she spent on me on the plane ticket, etc., and that she herself would go to Poland and tell everyone that Peter Ney is innocent, but he's guilty." So that is all that I have seen so far is those three messages. I'm not sure when she started encouraging Julia to call the police or how that went down. I do know that Fia has shared that she doesn't want Julia out and about in LA on her own and that she's encouraging her not to go. So maybe that's what Julia was talking about in the text messages. I'm not sure. Again, I didn't translate them and I don't know who did. Hopefully they're a pretty legit translation, but I'm not sure. Do with it what you will. And I'm going to be going live in a few minutes with Chris from News with Chris. If you want to tune in, we're going to be chatting about the text messages and lots more.